If you put a human in a room with nothing but their own thoughts and an electric shock button, they will eventually press it. In fact, most men will do it multiple times. Imagine waking up in a perfectly stark, silent white space. There are no windows, no clocks, and no phones. The only object in the entire room is a small, glowing red box sitting on a wooden table. You are told you only have to sit here quietly for 15 minutes. You do not have to do anything difficult or exhausting. You just have to exist with your own consciousness. Before entering, you were given a small electric shock just to see what it feels like. You explicitly stated that the shock was highly unpleasant. In fact, you even said you would pay money just to avoid experiencing that pain again. Yet within minutes of being left completely alone, the silence starts to feel heavy. The quiet room begins to amplify the noise inside your own mind. Your thoughts wander to your regrets, your anxieties, and your unresolved fears. Suddenly, that painful red button does not look like a threat anymore. It looks like an escape hatch from the agony of your own mind. This is not a hypothetical horror movie scenario. This is a legendary behavioral experiment conducted by scientists at the University of Virginia. The objective data gathered from this study exposed a terrifying flaw in modern human psychology. When left entirely alone with their minds, 67% of men chose to voluntarily shock themselves. 25% of women also chose the physical pain over the mental silence. One particular male subject found the quiet so unbearable that he shocked himself 190 times. He chose intense, repetitive physical pain over 15 minutes of self-reflection. Think about what this truly means for our species. We have evolved to fear physical pain as the ultimate biological threat. Our nervous systems are hardwired to avoid injury at all costs. Yet when trapped with our own consciousness, our evolutionary wiring completely malfunctions. We will actively seek out physical harm just to feel something external. To understand why your brain would choose torture over peace, we have to look back at our evolutionary history. For hundreds of thousands of years, boredom was a luxury early humans could never afford. If an ancient ancestor sat quietly in a cave doing nothing, they were likely starving. If they spent hours staring into space, they were vulnerable to hidden predators. Our brains evolved as relentless problem-solving machines designed for survival. The brain rewards active engagement, scanning, and immediate physical action. It did not evolve to sit passively in a vacuum of complete isolation. When you force a survival machine into absolute stillness, the system begins to panic. Without external input, the brain starts to turn its massive processing power inward. In a normal environment, your mind is constantly distracted by sights, sounds, and tasks. But in an empty room, the protective filters of daily life completely dissolve. The default mode network of the brain becomes hyperactive. This is the neurological system responsible for self-reflection and overthinking. Suddenly, every micro-anxiety you have successfully buried rises to the surface. You begin to replay old arguments, anticipate future failures, and question your worth. The quiet room becomes a mirror reflecting your deepest insecurities back at you. Psychologists refer to this state as cognitive avoidance. Humans will go to extreme lengths to avoid confronting the raw reality of their own minds. But why has this internal struggle become so profoundly weaponized in the modern era? The answer lies in the dopamine-drenched landscape we inhabit every day. We live in a world carefully engineered for constant, cheap cognitive stimulation. Your brain is continuously bombarded with notifications, algorithmic loops, and instant gratification. We have effectively outsourced our internal peace to external digital feeds. Because of this constant stimulation, our baseline dopamine threshold has skyrocketed. When you suddenly remove the infinite scroll, your brain experiences severe chemical withdrawal. The sudden drop in simulation feels like an actual physical emergency to your neurons. The brain becomes desperate for any signal that can break the agonizing monotony. It enters a state of deep dopamine starvation. In this starved condition, the brain shifts its definition of value. A painful electric shock is no longer viewed merely as a negative experience. Instead, the shock is processed as a highly potent, intense burst of sensory information. It is an objective guarantee that you are still connected to the physical world. Pain becomes a dark form of entertainment for a mind trapped in a vacuum. It breaks the terrifying loop of internal overthinking by forcing a physical reaction. This reveals a disturbing truth about human nature. We do not actually desire peace as much as we claim we do. We desire distraction, engagement, and constant emotional movement. We are so terrified of what we might discover in the dark corners of our minds that we prefer self-harm. The empty room experiment proves that our modern society has created a fragile consciousness. We have built a world where we can escape ourselves 24 hours a day. As a result, the muscle of intentional solitude has completely atrophied. We no longer know how to simply sit and exist with the person in the mirror. If you think you are part of the minority who could survive the room, ask yourself a question. When was the last time you sat for 10 minutes without looking at a screen or listening to audio? The truth is, most of us are constantly pushing our own digital shock buttons every single day. We fill every silent gap with mindless scrolling just to avoid the quiet. We are running away from our own thoughts, one notification at a time. The ultimate test of human freedom is not how well we conquer the external world. It is how long we can comfortably survive inside the quiet landscape of our own minds. If you found this psychological breakdown valuable, please like this video and share it with someone who cannot sit still. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to join us for more deep dives into human behavior. Thank you for watching, and try to spend the next 5 minutes completely alone with your thoughts.